find where this brain reservoir is, and and then maybe that's the reveals that you're like going through all the brains, and you're like, holy crap, the mayor's brain is in here, or the king, or the queen, Hello and welcome to the RPG Academy Twitch channel. My name is Michael, and we're here tonight for Detention Live. Joining me as always is my co-host Chris. Chris, say hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone.
And joining us tonight is nobody. We thought we had a guest lined up. So things happened. So nope. So it's just the two of us, but we will carry on. We will have a great show. Anyway, we do have a guest lined up for next time, which will be in 2 weeks. It's actually, let me make sure I get their name right, because I'm really excited about this one. It's Doug. Douglas Shute. He works with Free League, and he's actually might be coming to a Catacon as an official Free League representative. And he has been very kind to me, helped me get some Free League stuff for a Catacon prizes. So very excited to have him on and chat about what he does for Free League and other nonsensical stuff. But that will be for 2 weeks. For tonight, just you and I, sir. So we will start with our extracurricular, and I'll say, what you been up to lately, buddy?
A ton of work. I am once again rebuilding an office because they moved people to other teams. People found other opportunities, so I'm rebuilding a team, which means this guy gets to do the work that 4 people were doing before, as well as his management job.
Well, just don't do it too well, or then they'll be like, you know what, maybe they don't need 4 other people.
Well, I started getting some sales orders back. I do medical supply stuff, so the insurance team kept kicking stuff back, so they got a little frustrated. So I said, hey, one guy doing 4 people's job plus running the office, you got to cut me some slack. And they go, well, we don't have time for your mistakes. I said, well, then I don't have time for this conversation. And they went, well, I guess we'll have to send you help. I'm like, you think?
Yeah, that'd be great.
So a couple days a week, I get some help from other people. So that's kind of nice. Other than that, I haven't really done a ton of new stuff. I'm getting ready for Diablo 4. I really liked the beta. They sucked me in, so you get my $70. Here you go. No, I'm not giving you $100 for all the extra clothes and whatnot. I'll just take the game and have fun with that. We did start up Redemption. Well, technically it's Smuggler's Blues.
Yeah. I definitely want to ask you about this. So this is the new, so technically this is post the final. So this is in the same canon, right? So these are the same characters after the final of the podcast on different new adventures.
It's 1 year later.
Okay.
It's just me, Kaylee, and Mike playing. So you have Tazi, Corel, A1, and D4. And it's, like I said, a year later. The ship is in horrible shape. They have made some poor decisions. We alluded to it last night. A1 got cheated in gambling, which is ironic because he usually cheated to win.
Mm-hmm.
He got cheated, lost one of the escape pods in that. There's panels falling off. They can't seem to get their act together. And last night, we launched the new stream. Because we're streaming it, we're not going to do it as quite the audio drama we did before. So there's a little less work involved as far as post.
Right.
It was nice because we had a whopping, I think, 10 people watching.
Hey, that's better than us. We've been doing this for years.
It was fun because I had chat open on my phone. So whenever they were rolling despairs or threats and stuff, there were a couple times where I'm like, I'll use that here in a minute. And people watching would give ideas. I'm like, ooh, I like that one. So I stole a couple ideas from people, which was fun. I like the idea of having the chat there so people can throw ideas out and I can try to work them in the story, which, believe it or not, in some ways is harder than following what I pre-planned, because now I've got to work something in somebody else said. But
right.
I enjoy that. I think it's fun. And we did well our first game after having 4 months off. We didn't have any real technical issues.
That's
which
a
was
miracle.
a big one. Yeah.
Now, you're not streaming this on Twitch, right? This is just to YouTube or straight to YouTube?
Yes, I think so. I think Kaylee's just doing YouTube. We have a new intro video that goes out to kind of do the countdown.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess somehow on this one, my audio beforehand was bleeding through, but nobody else's
Yeah.
was, which I don't understand because how OBS works, but whatever.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying anything bad, so I'm not worried about it. But yeah, we had a good time with it. I'm excited to see where it goes. We originally planned, okay, we should spend about an hour doing this one thing, and then another two, the other hour doing this other thing. Well, it took us the first hour to get to the first thing we were supposed to do, and an hour more. And afterwards, I laughed. I go, hey, we talked about not falling down, RPG rabbit holes. And the first thing we did is dove right into, more than just a rabbit hole. We dove into the pool and just started swimming around and just going with it. So it was fun. We fell back into a lot of our old habits and role playing. When you've role played with a group for 8 years, it's easy just to get back into it. Other than that, I got DragonLance tomorrow. The last game went well. They took an encounter that I'm reading other DMs talk about how it was a total party kill. And the last time we played, they figured out a way to do it. And I actually had to, I'm sitting there going, how's everybody killing their party when my party's just destroying this? And I actually had to make the encounter more difficult, and they still blew through it. But part of that is I made a mistake. Skip had Shield Guardian up, I think, and it was a concentration thing. And I forgot to have him make a check when he got hit. It should have ended earlier, but it was doing a lot of damage.
Right.
Just a little mistake, but yeah. I'm not a D&D expert.
Right. Yeah. No, me neither.
Yeah. But we're having fun with it. I like the storyline. I like the stuff I've mixed in, the stuff I've taken out. But when we're done, and I think we're maybe halfway through the actual adventure.
Okay.
So give us another 2 or 3 months of playing before I'll do a recap show.
Yeah, the audio only is going to come out on the regular podcast feed. I've kind of been waiting because I know we kind of run into a dead spot in the summer because of all the other things I have going on. So I'm kind of like saving them up to make my life a little bit easier, but I also want to have quite a lot out so that when they start coming out, maybe they can just keep coming out until you're done.
Sure.
Because right now I think we have 7 episodes in the can completely done. I think you have a couple more that you're still doing your thing for, and then you still have 5, 6 more sessions to go, if not more than that.
Yeah, so. I think so. And I want to go through and I want to do better intros on them a little bit, because some of them were, we did one 4-hour session that I think I cut up into 3 episodes. So I want to do a little better explaining that. I had hit a point of editing, which I'm sure you've been to, where you're just like, okay, I'm done for a couple days. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
It's done. Forget about it type thing.
Yeah. I have this little cheat that I've been doing for years now. Because again, we've been doing this podcast. We're going on 13 years now. So it's been a long time. And I've always kind of hung our hat on our audio quality. Now, obviously we've had issues. We've had episodes that were just terrible. We've had recording issues, someone else's mic didn't work, that kind of thing. But for the most part, we have had really good audio for a very long time, very consistently. Now everyone does. Like everyone is caught up. Like I was a nerd about it for a very long time, but now it's just so much easier to get good quality audio. We don't really stand out for that. But when I edit our shows, particularly if it's an actual play where there's a lot, like 4 or 5 different tracks, and this, it's going to take me a very long time, I start off, I edit the crap out of it. And the longer I go, the less I edit. Because I figure once you're halfway through, you're invested. Like if you've listened to half of an actual play, you're going to finish the episode. So I might leave in a few extra ums and ahs. I may not line up everything just perfectly. So it takes me longer. Once I get to the halfway point, I'm more than halfway done. And in my weird brain, that's like a reward for myself. And then it makes it easier to do the back half.
That's kind of what I do too. I kind of figure after 20 minutes of an episode, you're into it.
Yeah, you're in. You're either in or out at that point, right?
I can lighten up on some of it. And some of it too with this one, I want in a way to capture more of the feel of us at the table. So yeah, my friend Dave, he says a lot. RJ likes the word like.
Yeah. Like.
So I leave some of those in just because that's who they are. And I want people to actually kind of experience that. And now that I've figured out, it took me only 5 recording sessions to figure out what was going on with skip sound. And it just kept driving me nuts, but I figured it out. I've never had so many times of trying to figure out a microphone, but once we figured out the setting was goofy on there, it worked.
I got you. So Grimace Tubman's in the chat and says you need to lighten up, and they do like.
That's RJ.
Hey, RJ. Yeah, I'm excited because I actually haven't been listening. I'm going to experience this through you. I am very excited about that. And I'm also excited to do that recap episode when, we talk about the adventure as it was written, what you changed, how you think, how would you do it differently? We're not going to do the full masterclass thing over all of it, but I definitely want to deep dive into some of the decisions you made, times when you were surprised or shocked, or, what went, again, just kind of we do in news books here, what went well that you will take into your next game, and what did you try or maybe happen that you're like, you know what, we need to do better or try something else for the next time. I think it'll be very valuable.
Yeah, so I'm excited to do that too. And for me, I mean, this is the first time I've ever run a long module. I've run a couple of short ones, and I've never really enjoyed them. And this one, I've learned a lot about how to run them. So if I had to, or if I wanted to do another one, I feel like I could do it a lot quicker and a lot easier, and I could just take my own flavor and put in real quick. So anyways, what have you been up to?
Well, I'll start with the game stuff. I mentioned it a few times before. I've kind of rekindled playing with my childhood best friends, the people I started playing with when I was 12 years old, Brandon, Bill, and Joe. Though Bill, he came the one time we did like last summer, we did like a guys weekend. We rented a cabin. We all hung out and cooked out, and it was great. It was a wonderful time. And we got to play D&D, and everyone had a great time. They absolutely loved it. So we decided that we would keep playing, and we aimed for once a month. We're all old. Most of us have kids. We're professionals. We have all these other responsibilities, and we also don't live necessarily that close to each other. Like it's a 2-hour drive for Brandon to come down here. Wow. So we've aimed for once a month, and I think we just had our 4th or 5th session. So we basically have averaged at best every other month, and even that, I think we did 2 now in a row. Is the only reason we're up to 5. But anyways, we played last Saturday, and we finished up. I was running Keep on the Shadowfell, which was one of the 4E launch modules. But I thought it was a really cool module. Now, I've mixed in some other things. I've added some additional Michael stuff, but that's kind of was the basis of it. And I found somebody converted it online in like DM's Guild is like $2 or something. I don't know. I paid it for somebody to convert all the monsters back to 5e, that kind of thing. So we got to basically to the final boss. And anyone who knows me knows I'm almost guaranteed not to kill a character unless you want to want your character to die, or if you truly do something stupid, I'm going to find a way for your character not to die. Particularly with this situation, I kind of feel like if one of the characters died, it might like throw a monkey wrench into the momentum. So I'm not saying they're never going to die, but they weren't going to die tonight, right? So I went into that final battle. They had already fought a couple times. One of them went down and had to go into death saves, and we almost had a death before that. But luckily, I knew he had a reroll in his back pocket, so I was a little more loosey-goosey with letting him take some hits, even though he was down. He basically took a fireball and to put him at -2 death saves, whatever. Anyway, so they went into this final battle. They had almost no resources left. So I knew it was going to be a tough battle anyways. But then they just wiped the floor with this thing, like just absolutely decimated it. They just got to 3rd level, and Joe's character has an assassin ability that basically if he goes first and you haven't acted yet, he gets to hit you with advantage. And if he hits it all, it's considered a critical. And the way I do criticals is it's max damage plus roll again. So that is a little bit deadly. But he did like almost 50 points of damage before anything happened. And then Brandon on 2 different attacks, I think it was on like round 1 and round 2, natural 20. I'm watching him roll. He did it. Bam, natural 20. He has a magical axe. It's not super powerful, but it's, it's like a +1 axe. So it's D12 plus 5. So that was like 17 plus he rolled again. So he did like 30 points of damage. And then another time he did like 30. So I didn't have to like cheat. I didn't have to fudge any rolls. They just killed him. I was able to get a ongoing attack off on both of them before he died. So they both took some damage, and they were both taking ongoing. I don't even know if 5e does that, but it's something from 4e. I kept it because I thought it was cool. So they both got to the point where they were worried that they might die, but wiped them out. So it absolutely was a fantastic final battle. There's only 2 players, so there's a little bit of weirdness with the numbers anyways, but They absolutely had a blast. It was nerve wrenching, nail biting. They pulled it off. The natural 20s. They got to use the abilities that they wanted to use. I just about couldn't have planned it better, and it was great. So we're really excited. And the other exciting part for me, and again, anyone who's listened to my podcast now for 12, 13 years, you've heard me talk about Brandon before, like in the long ago.
Mm-hmm.
He would always be like, I want to run a game, and he would run one session. And it would be the best session I've ever played in. And then he'd be like, I don't think I want to play anymore. Like, I can't tell you, like he's done that to me more than I've had campaigns fail, right? It's just like,
Right.
he gets really excited. He runs one session. And then I don't know if he just gets it out of a system or if there's still like an anxiety about up to those same standards, but he's done it again. So the way we've set up this adventure, they are working for a criminal organization, but they're actually working for a noblewoman, and basically they're like secret agents within the criminal organization. So they do bad things. They are criminals, but they're actually working for her interests more than the actual criminal organization. So sometimes they get missions that coincide, and then sometimes they have to sabotage the mission they're on without making it obvious that's what they're doing so that they don't get, outed or murdered by their criminal organization they're in. So basically the way we've set this up is it makes sense for sometimes the team to change.
All right.
So I've created a character. Next time we're going to play, Brandon's going to run and his character is going to step out and I get to be part of the criminal organization. So shocker, rolled a wizard. So I'm ready to go. 3rd level dwarf wizard, because why not? 18 intelligence, 18 constitution, bam. But yeah, I'm super excited about a chance to play, but I expect next time we gather, I will say, I had the great time and we are never playing again. That's just the way it works for me.
I've done that before where we've switched DMs like that. I enjoy it because it gives you a break. It refreshes you. It gives somebody else a chance to be excited and run something. Gives them a chance to try something. And if it doesn't work, you just rotate the next person in.
Yeah, we did that.
I enjoy that.
My
stuff.
group in Cleveland, I've talked about several times. We did that. We were part of a good aligned mercenary group, and we would just rotate through and everything. But yeah, this adventure I ran for them was basically a dungeon crawl. Like there was like a lot of setup, but then ultimately the adventure itself was just to keep on the Shadowfell. It was pretty much straight through dungeon crawl, and that's not what I run. Like I don't run dungeon crawls. I run social games, political games. It's mostly against other humans, and they all had a good time. And so I'm a little bit worried about working in because we also did maps and minis, which I normally do not do. I took a lot of time, and actually I got one of those big easel grids that you get like at a Office Depot or something. And so I made actual maps for each section, and I would like pull them out like that, like it'd be a number 6 on this corner. If they went that way, I'd get number 6 map, and it would have 4 numbers. And so it was way more involved than I normally would do, but I kind of felt like that's what they would want because that's the way we used to play when we were kids. So I think the next time I run, I'm going to do more theater of the mind and maybe do a little bit of a mixture because I just don't enjoy prepping that way. I did it for them because I love them. They're my childhood best friends. I would do anything for these people, but I don't want to keep doing that level of prep because I also don't enjoy it. That's not the type of game I like to run. Right. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, we're supposed to actually play in a couple of weeks. We're going to do a one-off random. His wife's going out of town. We're going to go up to his house and like basically do like a camp out at his house on a random night because they're both teachers. They're off for the summer, and so we're going to play in just a couple of weeks. And this one Brandon's going to run.
Nice.
Foxblade's in chat, so welcome, Foxblade. Happy to have you with us as well. I have to mention Ted Lasso. No spoilers, but anybody who's listened to me, I'm sure I've talked about before. I love Ted Lasso. That first season of Ted Lasso, one of my favorite TV shows of all time. I absolutely ugly cried. Not this most recent episode, the one before. I mean, just straight out ugly cried during part of it. I got very, very emotional. This episode, I really enjoyed. I've already seen some people online saying it wasn't that great. Screw those people. They're wrong. It was a great finale. I really enjoyed it. Are you on the Ted Lasso train?
I don't have Apple TV, so
it's worth getting just for that and Severance. Severance is one of the best TV shows I've ever watched. Also, they're both on there.
That's what I've heard. I've heard that Ted Lasso is really good.
Yeah.
And I think people don't like everybody. You hear so many people say, "Oh, that finale sucked." I think it's mostly because you're just sad that the show's ending. Now, I will say there are some that were garbage. Dexter should not have ended the way it did. Game of Thrones.
No, Game of Thrones is terrible.
Yeah, I mean that whole last season was
Bad.
kind of rushed, but
Yeah.
um, for most part, I think a lot of them end the way they should.
I think
I,
endings are hard. I mean, they truly are.
Mhm.
I think a pilot, I'm not going to say it's easy, but like I equate it to D&D. Like when I come up with a new campaign, my first sessions are almost always the best session because I've thought the most about them. I've done the most amount of work. It's very planned out, but it's hard to maintain that. And it's very hard to wrap it around and end it in a way that feels like it was earned.
Mhm.
And also, wrapped in all the things that happen, all the changes, all the growth. I just think endings are really, really hard to do, and it's rare that they're done right. And I agree with it. So there's also just like, well, I didn't want it to end. So, I'm a little bit down on it because it ended it all. And maybe
Yeah.
my character, like one character didn't end the way I thought they should have, or this character that I particularly liked didn't get as much screen time. Like, I think there's lots of personalization that goes into that determination of whether or not you like it or not outside. Like, that's why you had to wait like 5-10 years and then somebody on a podcast will tell you whether it was good or not.
It's funny though, because you say your best sessions are your first sessions. I feel like my weakest is the beginning.
Mm.
It takes me a few minutes to wrap my head around what motivates the characters and what's going to drive the players. And once that clicks with me, then I take off. And then it's easier for me to kind of maintain it.
Mm-hmm.
I just have usually the first episode, session 1 or 2 might be a little slow until I get into the groove, and then it takes off. But it's interesting the difference.
Yep. I've been rewatching some old shows. I've said before, I deal with depression and anxiety, and sometimes it's not as bad as other times. Sometimes it's worse. I've gone through a couple bouts that were pretty bad over the last few months. And one of the ways that my depression manifests is that I find comfort, basically comfort shows. Like I don't try new things that could be good or bad, and I sort of retreat to things that I know will bring me comfort. And so I've been watching a lot of old stuff that I like. Community, love Community, one of my favorite shows. I decided to rewatch Firefly. I think we've watched the first 6 or 7 episodes, which again is one of my all-time favorite shows. Makes me so sad that Joss Whedon turned out to be a piece of crap, but I still love that show. And some of the Marvel movies, some of my all-time favorites. I've rewatched the first Iron Man, the first Avengers. I'm going to rewatch Captain America: Winter Soldier. So some of those things. But yeah, Ted Lasso was probably the thing. Oh, Yellowjackets, also a new show, but I love Yellowjackets. That's another one where I literally tell people, watch the pilot episode of Yellowjackets, and within the first 10 minutes, maybe even the first 5 minutes, you're either in or you're out. And if you're
Okay.
in, it's worth getting Showtime just for that show. And then you can always cancel because you can binge it all in a weekend. But
All right.
Yellowjackets is absolutely incredible. I love that show so much. And then there was one more that I've been watching. Oh, Strange New Worlds, the Star Trek that's about to come back, I think in June. Some of the best Star Trek ever. I absolutely loved the first season of that show.
Yeah, it's so funny how similar you and I are in a lot of ways. Because like right now, Melissa's, my wife's, her company got a new computer system, and she leaves the house at 7, comes home sometimes at 6:30. We have dinner. She's back on her computer from
Mm.
7:30 until 10:30, just because everything is just a mess, and she can't just do what I do and let things fall apart and let
Right.
somebody else deal with it. Um, I'm okay with saying, "Hey, I gave you my 10 hours today. You're not getting more." But so for me, most nights 9 o'clock we sit down, we watch an episode of something, or sometimes 8 o'clock. In the last 2 months, she hasn't, we haven't been able to do that. So I'm either down here playing some stupid push a button and kill things game, or watching TV shows over and over that I find comfort. I watched Vox Machina enough times that I can almost quote it. Just have fun, relax with that kind of stuff. But I understand that the comfort of the safe place. Here's something that I know I'm going to just lose myself into,
Mhm.
and not have to think about, sitting on the couch alone. What do I do now?
Right.
Type thing, or, whatever's going on in life,
Uh,
which is why we need to do more of tabletop
Yeah, well,
simulator.
I did want to touch on that before we moved on. We got to play recently, schedules lined up for Tabletop Simulator, which again, anyone listening now or in the future, join our Discord. All you got to do is ask for the invite. We have a channel just for Tabletop Simulator, and we try to get together. For a while, we were doing really good. We were playing DC Deck Builder regularly. For a while, I was actually playing Icewind Dale, that old AD&D game. I had several people, a lot of people come to a catacon. We kind of fell together, and we played that for a while, and then schedules fell apart. But it was a lot of fun. But anyway, we got to play the most recent Marvel Legendary set, Midnight Suns. So you got Morbius, you got Blade, Werewolf by Night, Elsa Bloodstone, and we played that. It was me, you, and your wife, and I was convinced we were done. Like
too.
round 10, I'm like, we are done. But it took a long time. I mean, we probably only had maybe 1 or 2 turns left total before we would lose, but we pulled it out. I cannot believe that we did that.
Yeah, I was surprised. I liked how it played. I liked adding the vampires in with the little blood frenzy and stuff like that. I thought that was a neat little addition, and it didn't make it too complicated. A couple of the expansions, I'm like, okay, that's just too much to pay attention to. Let's just move on.
Yeah, here's my plea to anyone listening from that company. I don't need a new keyword for every set.
Yeah.
We have enough keywords. Just give me new characters, modulate them a little bit so that maybe this version of Blade can play with this character before they didn't synergize. You don't have to keep coming up with new stuff. I don't buy that because you create a new keyword. I buy it because I'm an insane person, and I love Marvel and I love superheroes. But I love the game. I've bought every card. Like there isn't a card that exists as far as I know that I don't have, but I almost never play them. So I really enjoy getting to play them on TTS, one, because it's so much easier because you can just flip the table when you're done.
Yeah.
But the Midnight and Sunlight thing is hard TTS. Like and home, you can just like slide evens or odds up, and I think it's a little bit quicker. And what I want to do, and this is just for me and you, anyone listening, I'm sorry. You know how you can create your own components?
Objects.
I just want to make like a little sign that says Midnight Sunlight, and it's like a white and a yellow, and then we can just literally flip it on the table. I think that'd be a little thing to do.
What if there's like a coin that you could just flip over?
I'm sure there is, but I mean, again, just make it like it's like red or yellow and white or something, so it's super, super obvious. But I do want to circle back around. So the first professional edit of Action 12 Cinema behind me is done. There's one section that the editor suggested, not necessarily a rewrite. They want me to add in an example that doesn't currently exist, like here's how you would do it. Like character A wants to do this, and like kind of do like a step-by-step example in a couple places. The edit looks great. I'm very excited about it. So I will be sending out the new version to everybody probably within another 3 or 4 weeks, because we're going to go through it one more time, because we made some decisions like as we went. We were like, well, maybe we should do this or do that. So we kind of it's like when you write in a book and like halfway through you decide the person's left-handed, and you got to go back to the beginning to make sure they were left-handed the whole time. So there were a few decisions we made near the end that we have to circle back and make sure that we're consistent throughout. So probably by mid-June, the edit will be done. It'll be turned over to layout. I'm going to go ahead and send out that version to everyone else as well, because I'm sure there's still going to be typos and stuff. So hopefully other people will look at it. But it's moving right along. We're still on pace to have the layout done by around August. Then it'll go out to the printers. I have no idea how long it's going to take at the printers. It probably 3 to 6 months the way things are sounding. But I still think we're on pace to get it when I promised it, even though I was hoping before then. And that is a big part of my depression and anxiety. As excited as I am about it, it has been terrifying to go through this process. Right. And, it's, as I said before, I don't know that Kickstarter is right for me. Like I do it for a catacon every year because at this point I kind of pretty much know how it's going to work. But that was some of the most stress. Like I was, no exaggeration, not looking for pity, but I was a wreck through that first half of that Kickstarter when it didn't look like it was going to fund for a while. I was like having a complete meltdown, and I still have anxiety. Sometimes I just almost have like a flashback to, oh God, and then that kind of thing. So I don't know if I'll be doing that again. We'll see how I feel. Just like everything else, I'm sure in a few months, once it comes out, I'll start feeling better. But right now, not worth the stress.
I could imagine.
Yeah, but good stuff hopefully is coming in the future. So with that, and anyone's listening again, we don't have a guest tonight, so it's going to be a little bit more of a loosey-goosey show type. we may just kind of jump around a little bit, but we are going to move on to our first improv game, and that is 10 things. Let me, bam, there we go. So because I changed the chalk thing because I'm still cool like that. So 10 things is an improv game where we're going to prompt one another in turn to try to come up with a list of things, 10 of them that fit the prompt. The idea of the game is that immediacy is better than accuracy. So a list you come up with quickly is better than a list that you take a long time to come up with, but actually fits the prompt well. Chris, you're ostensibly the guest tonight. Would you like to go first in terms of prompting me or receiving your prompt?
I'll prompt you because I thought of one earlier.
All right. Lay it on me, sir.
So it was inspired by my wife. She asked me this. She said, hey, Father's Day is coming up. So give me a list of 10 things you'd like for Father's Day.
A Blackstone grill.
One
of those grills that you put in your existing grill because they're much cheaper, but they make your grill into a flat top.
2
An automatic pool cleaning vacuum cleaner thingy.
3
A gift card for the Spider-Man game because it's not coming out yet, but I want it, buy it when it does.
4
we got an all expense paid vacation to Origins.
5
more D12s.
6
Peace and quiet. If you know the joke, you know what I'm saying.
7
a nice tie.
8
I need new shirts, so some new shirts will be great.
All right. 9
And one of those pair of glasses that breaks apart in the middle and has the magnetic thing because I keep losing my glasses.
10
Yay!
Hey.
That was in fact a list of 10 things. All right, so you're all excited about Diablo. I think I played Diablo 2 or something like years and years ago. I've not played a very long time, but I kind of know how it works. It's like a dungeon crawler. You go down, you kill a bunch of stuff, you get more powerful, right? So give me 10 magic items that you hope you will collect as you play Diablo.
Oof. What was it called? Let's go the Axe of Death.
1.
The Finger of Death.
2.
We'll go with the bow that slings lightning.
3.
The hammer that slings boulders.
4.
The bone wand.
5.
I think is actually 1. The ice knife.
6.
Really big hammer that has a smiley face on it.
7.
We'll go with the Spear of Destiny.
8.
The Spear of Chuckles.
9.
And the Feather of Tickling.
10. That was in fact a list of 10 things. Alrighty. So for used books, we don't have a guest tonight to talk about a campaign, but I have something to bring up. So again, we'll just kind of play this one by ear. So as I mentioned, the game that I'm running for my friends, we are part of a criminal organization. So I'm basically trying to think of all the things that I would normally run an adventure and then do the other side of that. Like we're kind of like the bad guys, or they're working for an organization that are the bad guys. And so what I want to do for the next adventure I run, which will probably be June or late June, is I want to do a prison break. Basically, it's going to be sort of like a Mission Impossible where the criminal organization says, hey, one of our people got pinched, they're in jail, and we're worried about what they might say. So we need you to get them out or get in and make sure that they won't be able to talk. So they're going to have options. You know, that's the whole either take them out so they can't talk or get them out. But I want it to be where they have full license agency to approach that however they want. You know, classic, maybe they get arrested too, so they get put in with them. Do they like bribe guards? Do they try to pretend to be guards? Like, you know, I want them to have, it's not like it has to be done in the next 20 minutes. Like I want them to have time, maybe even to the point like it goes to like trial and they like fix the jury. You know, like I want them to have full reign to approach this however they want. But I don't know any specifics. So I just want to get your advice and anyone listening in chat that wants to throw in some ideas. I even put on Twitter the other day, I was like, hey, I'm looking for a jailbreak scenario. And I got nothing. Like usually I get at least a couple things, like nothing. Didn't hit the algorithm or something. So so I guess my question is, have you ever ran anything like that? Do you have any advice or suggestions, either your own or like a module I could find for how to run that and make it fun?
I have. I actually did one with Redemption, where they had to go in and rescue a prisoner. The biggest thing I figured out, and this was just me doing some Google search, and other DMs said, always make a back door in because your players are not going to want to walk through the front door. Because if they do, they're probably going to get eaten by the guard, so to speak, because your players are going to do something or say something or whatever. Or let them somehow sneak in. You know, like in Redemption, they hid in food carts and they hired somebody to sneak them in, and then they snuck in and they broke them out. Actually, we've done 2, now that I think about it, because the other one was built into a mountain, and they actually found a cave that they could go in, and then they went in through an old door. The other thing is the security systems, they should never be as complicated or as tough as they are in real life.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is movie magic, you know, I'm thinking that, but
yeah, because for my job, I've set up equipment, you know, I've set up CPAPs and oxygen for prisoners. So I've actually gone to a couple federal prisons in Michigan, and I mean, you walk in the front door, you check in, the guard comes in, he searches everything you have. He has to ask for the next door to be opened. You only walk like 10 feet. He has to ask for the next door open. And every way you would go is like a maze. And the direction you go in to get to the back and the way you come back out are 2 different things. And they tell you it's so you can't memorize the prison. And like I said, every 10 to 20 feet, there's another door they have to ask permission for. Your players aren't going to do that.
No.
Or if they are, it's every 20 feet, they got to stab somebody or, you know, open a door somehow.
Right. And it is D&D, it's not Eberron, so there's not like electronic locks or camera systems. You know, it's not something like they could even infiltrate that way.
Yeah. So again, keep it simple as far as the guards. I mean, with D&D, I mean, you could have maybe all the torches go out. They can find a way to blow out all the torches or something like that. Back up the sewer and everybody has to escape. I don't know. Just different things like that. I'd run out of the building if the sewer's backed up and it's a prison. Got to imagine that's not pleasant. Trying to think of some of the other things I found online for that one. Always give them a skylight. There's always a skylight so they could climb out. So if they need to climb out, they can climb out and then slide down the mountain or whatever. When we did it, you know, I just figured out let the players talk. And I actually kind of took something from Dungeon World, where Dungeon World talks about build a dungeon, but don't put anything in it until you figure out what the players need. And that's what I did with the 2 I did for Redemption. I had a rough layout of the building and then filled it in as they started talking. And it's hilarious how much the players will go, oh, well, I'll bet you there's a central security system. Well, there is now.
There is now, yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's got to be air shafts. All right, that makes sense. There is now. Yeah, and just go with that. Listen to them. And it, in a way, makes your job easier, because you don't have to plan so in depth, but at the same time, you're not going to get frustrated because they didn't follow your plan.
Right.
Yeah.
See, and that's happened to me in the past. I ran a game in college where they started off in prison. Like that was the setup. Like all of your characters are in prison. You can decide if you were in prison, you know, illegally or mistakenly, or if you're a criminal. I don't care. You're in prison. That's where we're going to start. And the first part of the adventure was supposed to be a prison breakout. And like I thought I had done a really good job of trying to manipulate a few things where one of the characters was working in the kitchen. And I'm like, well, this is great. You're just going to like give everybody food poisoning, get everybody sick, and then, you know, all the guards will get sick and then you can escape. That didn't come up. And I didn't like force it, but I thought that was like an obvious thing. If you're working in the kitchen, you'll do that. And I'd set up like a couple different things, kept thinking that's what to do. And at one time, the entire prison was taken out on like a yard duty. They all left the prison. They were all like shackled and they had to like clean something. I don't remember what it was now. I'm like, oh, this will be their opportunity. They didn't even try to escape during that. They just dealt with it and they got back in the prison. And I was just like, I don't know how else to help you figure this out, you know? And I'm a little bit worried because I know my characters, they're going to want a map of the prison. They're going to want, okay, we're going to spend 2 days and we're going to watch and we're going to figure out their patterns. And they're going to want me to provide those types of details that I have no interest in providing for them, because that's not, I would much rather run it kind of loosey-goosey. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask them, like, what do you want to help you do this? And if they say, we want to find a map, I'll say, okay, how do you want to go about doing that? Are you going to try to break in or like, you know, find an ex-prisoner, like let them tell me how they want to go about doing things. And basically, the more research they do, I'm going to give them a bonus on like a preparation roll. And it'll be intelligence or wisdom. I'll set the DC, let's say it's 12, 15, whatever, and they get a 20. So it's 5 more than what they needed. Then I'm going to give them 5 preparation points, kind of like Gumshoe works. And so when things are happening and I throw something at them, they can spend those points and go, oh, well, we knew this might happen, so that's why I brought X. So it's not quite D&D. I'm going to kind of make it a D&D type of game so that they can do those sorts of things. So I don't have to go, okay, I'm going to draw the map for you. I'm just going to say you have a map, but it's not like 100% complete. You know, there's a few, they may have changed a few things, and you think you know the guard routine, but sometimes things can happen. Oh, the person you bribed got sick, and so they have a new person. There's a rookie that, you know, they're all excited about doing a good job, and they're being more thorough than you expected. Well, we prepared for that, so this is that kind of thing. So that's my current plan from the loosey-goosey aspect. But yeah, anyone listening now in the future, I'm very, if you have a module that does this, or again, if you want to try to find those episodes, Chris, tell me, I'll go back and listen to them because I want to make sure I do this well.
Yeah, I have to look back. I know one of them was a while ago.
You ran that show for a long time.
Yeah. We kind of did one on the last DragonLance. They had to break into a keep and open a gate. And they got pretty creative with it. I mean, the ranger snuck up with the thief that's not a thief, or the rogue that's not a thief, however we keep making fun of it. And then the cleric got up close enough, he cast silence. So then the guy who just got knighthood wearing full plate could walk up and not sound like somebody's dropping the kitchen pans all over the place. So they did a good job with that. And they really prepped and took their time. And, that went well. I mean, you could kind of take, like what you were just talking about with the preparation points, kind of like Star Wars does with the destiny points.
Every time they use one, I get one to use against them.
Yeah, well, not even that. Maybe beforehand, if they roll, hey, you want to find a map, roll an investigation check. Well, I rolled a 2. All right, cool. That gave me a preparation point in a way against you that I can pull out and be like, oh, yeah, well, the guards changed their rotation or whatever you want to do.
Or you found the map, but it's outdated. Like it doesn't account for the most recent wing that's been built or something. Since they failed to roll, they get something, but it's not the right map type of a thing.
Yeah, Grimace is not a thief.
Not a thief.
Or RJ does. Yeah. I'd say you were a thief. I forget how we said it. But anyways, I like those aspects where players can just go, you know what? I'm going to spend that resource and I have this. Because as a player, you want to succeed. As a GM, you want to say yes. Oh, RJ just said like an Ocean's 11 flashback prep scene are super fun. So you could have them do something like that.
That's usually how those points work. It's like you say, okay, well, we prepared for this. Here's my point. But usually there's like a quick, like, okay, well, tell me, like, give me a quick, how did you prepare for this? What'd you do? And then you have like a little flashback scene. Not for all of them because it could get boring. But I want to tie it to, the player's choices and then the character's abilities to determine how many points they get. So if the players are thorough and they make good choices, like we this, and this, those are all great ideas. So roll for those. So you're using your character stats, and the ones they roll well for, that kind of builds up so they have more preparation points. Like they're going to have a minimum of like 2 or 3. They're definitely going to have that, but they might get more if they roll well, or they have a better chance to get more if they take more time to prep. I feel like, again, knowing these 2 players, I think they will really appreciate that, because that's the type of game that we're running is very much BS. We get off on, we just start making jokes, and it's the type of humor that I probably wouldn't want to share with people, but we enjoy it together as adults, and we're back in our childhood, so we're making the same stupid jokes we made when we were 12. But they do enjoy feeling smart, more so than their characters. Like I think they would enjoy more them making a good choice than like their character having the right abilities type of a thing. So I want to try to do a bit of a mixture of both, but I do think they'll enjoy that aspect. I'm going to try anyways.
You're doing this in D&D, right?
Yeah, 5e.
All right. I just had a thought. Why don't you use inspiration?
Did you come up with that all by yourself?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not in chat at all.
You didn't steal that. You're not a thief either.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, and there's one thing I do, inspiration different. I've been done that since 5e started. I use them more like Benny. So you get a set number of tokens, and every time you do something funny or interesting, I give you more, so you can have a bunch of those. And kind of will work the same way. But one of the things that I've done is, since there's only 2 of them, I start them with 3 each. So normally you would get 1 to start each game, but since there's only 2 of them, they get a couple extra to help them overcome the fact that there's only 2 of them in the game, type of a thing.
Yeah, I will tell you that's one thing I always forget when running D&D is inspiration. And because I forget it, the players forget it. And I have to tell myself to do it. And even in Star Wars, I mean, I have the Destiny pool right in front of me. And so many times I forget to use it. And it's something I wish I was better at. Staple something on my forehead to remind myself.
I will say that's something I do well. I will pat myself on the back there. I'm very conscientious of them. I talk about them, especially if I do like a one-shot at a convention. I tell them, you're going to get more, use them, spend them. I'm very, liberally hand them out when they do things that make me laugh. So I think I do that pretty well. Again, I don't necessarily use them for like great role playing. Like I do as well, but you're more likely to get them if you make me laugh. I tell people, if you make me laugh, you're going to get a token, because I like to have fun and I'm here to laugh. Now, if I'm playing like a horror game, that would be different. It'd be, more in character, right, or buying into the story or the mood. But most of the games I run are, silly, Fast and the Furious movie style, like over the top action silliness. So you're more likely to get a token if you make me laugh. All right. So with that, we're going to move on. We're going to move into our second, I missed one. Oh no, what happened?
I don't know. What'd you do? Did you break something?
Yeah, these things must be out of order. Oh, nope.
Oh, now you're going backwards.
Yeah. Nope, there we go. Okay, and then, nope. I don't know what's happening. I can't figure out why where my fingers have been is not showing. Well, it's not that important.
Yeah.
So we're going to do Where My Fingers Have Been. This is another improv game. We're going to once again take turns prompting each other to create a short scene involving 2 or more people, and hopefully they have a beginning, middle, and end. I usually leave at least one of those out because I think it's funny. Chris, you again are the guest tonight, technically. So would you like to go first in terms of being prompted, or would you like to prompt first?
I'll get prompted. You went first the last time, so.
All right.
Where have my fingers been? I said, where have my fingers been?
You are 2 D&D characters discussing how you can get arrested so that you can start your break out of prison mission.
All right. Let's go steal something from the market. That's been done so many times. Besides, we need a monkey to do that. We don't have one. Fair enough. What if we just go up and slap somebody really important? Yeah. Like we know anybody important. All right. Good point. Good point. Wait. What if we just run through the market naked? We did that last week. It didn't work. You're right. So steal somebody's horse? Nope. Done that too. Fine. Why don't we just go up and slap one of the guards? That sounds too easy. What about if we slap the mayor? He pays extra for that. Fair enough. All right. Then maybe you should just go consult an actual criminal and not a priest. Good point. Thanks. And that's where my fingers have been.
A little twist at the end. That was like a Sixth Sense. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
He was a priest the whole time. All righty. So now it is my turn. So, of course, we have to sing the song. Where have my fingers been? I said, where have my fingers been?
Trying to teach somebody to play poker.
All right. Okay. So what we're going to play here is poker. Poker. Yes, very good. Poker. Okay. So we're going to take the cards, we're going to deal them, and everybody's going to get 5 cards. Okay. So now what are my cards? Nope. Don't show them to me. You look at your own cards. Okay. And are aces ones or high? You're not supposed to tell me what you have, but they're pretty. They're all the same color and they're all in the same number. Fold. And that's where my fingers have been.
Yay. Hey. And I've played that game.
I've taught my kids how to play poker. I did manage to get to where my finger's been up, so hopefully it will continue to work. Yay, there, cryptozoology. Okay, so we're going to move into cryptozoology. This is the part of the show where we talk about a monster, usually D&D, not always. We talk about ways maybe we've used this creature in the past, or we brainstorm some ways that we will use it in the future. Before we jumped on, Chris and I went back and forth. He came up with a good idea. So we are going to talk about the intellect devourer. There is a 5e version that we're talking about, and hopefully no major spoilers, but there is a pretty funny instance of this creature being used in the D&D movie. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's actual lore. Maybe it is. I didn't see it in the book when I looked at it, but the gag in the movie is that they are attracted to intelligence. So the more intelligent you are, the more likely they are to bother you. Surprise, not that interested in our band of heroes in the movie. And it works very, very well. Yeah. So I guess the first question I asked Chris is, have you ever used an intellect devourer in one of your games before?
I haven't. And spoilers, the reason I picked it was I just did a random letter generator and it gave me I, and intellect devourer was the first one. And then I read through it and went, wow, that is creepy. It's a walking brain with bestial claws, and it's attracted to intellect, and it's trying to suck your intellect out and then take over your body and then bring your body back to the mind flayers that created it. I mean, that's creepy and just horrible.
Yeah, I've never used one either. I do remember, I think it's in the Neverwinter Nights video game that like early on, one of the people behind doing things that don't make sense, you end up finding out they were controlled by an intellect devourer. So that's the only experience I'd ever had with them. Foxblade has jumped in to say that they have used them before.
Oh, nice.
So I've never really looked at the game description or mechanics, I should say. And I was kind of surprised at how this thing works. I think it's very interesting. It's not your typical hit it with a stick till it dies creature, but they are also a save or suck kind of situation that basically they try to hit you, and if they hit you with their if you're within 10 feet, the target must make a DC 12 intelligence saving throw, or if they fail, they take damage, and you roll 3d6. If your total equals or exceeds the target's intelligence score, then they are stunned until you gain a point of intelligence. And then on their next turn, since you're stunned, they can just kill you. They eat your brain and magically eat your brain and take over your body. So this is like you better save that, or your friends better kill it before it goes again. That is, wow. Because that is like, especially you got your barbarian who's like, I'm a barbarian. I have 9 intelligence. It'll be fun. No, you're dead. Round 2, you're dead.
Yeah.
And I have a barbarian body now. Yay, me.
Yeah, like Foxblade said, they're very dangerous for just a challenge 2.
Challenge 2.
I mean, intellect's 12 from most characters is not going to be the easiest save. And then that 3d6 intelligent, that rolled 3d6 to see if it's greater than your intelligence, and then your intelligence now is 0. So you can't do anything until your party does something to give you more intelligence back. And then the question I have, and it doesn't even say it in here, do you get that back after the creature's dead, or do you have to fall into spell to, fix that, or what? Because it doesn't talk about that.
I think there are rules for regaining lost ability points through like rest. It's like a version of healing that takes a little longer. I would assume that you just like take like a week off, which you still might not be able to do. But that's vicious. But for the reason that is that vicious, I very likely would not use one of these against a party. Much like in that Neverwinter Nights game, it would be there's an NPC who is working against the interest of the party, manipulating them, lying to them, trying to get them into a more dangerous situation that is being controlled. So whether it's a favorite, a well-loved, a well-known NPC, or just someone they should trust, they have no reason not to, who's now being devoured. So there'll be more of a mystery of why are they acting this way? They've suddenly started acting unusual, putting the pieces together and then realizing that, and from what I can tell, basically it's by the time you realize what's happening, it's too late. They are dead. Like there's no
Mm-hmm.
coming back from that. It's just a matter of whether or not you can get the devourer out and kill it before it takes another body.
Yeah, so they're creepy. Just the picture and the description, and turning your PC into a. I mean, describes it as a puppet.
Yeah, it's a meat mecha.
Yeah, you just become a little puppet. They walk you back to their mind flayer maker and drop you off, and then they're off to go get somebody else.
Yep.
It's just creepy to me.
It's like a valet stealing your car.
Yeah, yeah. I think a unique way of using these is if you wanted to throw them against your party just to kind of scare them, and somebody does fail it, you say to them, "Hey, don't worry, I have a plan." Or what would even be better in this situation with my thought is, let's say I was DMing for you and you said, "Hey, I'm just not digging this character." I say, "Okay, we can reset it. You fail that save, the intellect devour takes you over. All right, what's your new personality?" And then long term, we could play it off that, oh, well, there's really a mind flayer that's been secretly pushing the party for its own political means, and you're just building your character as a new character. And that might be a neat reveal later on.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we are dealing with magic, and the devouring of the brain is magical. So it would be a wave of the hand to say that your brain isn't actually consumed. It's just gone. And there's like a collection, there's a brain jar, like in Young Frankenstein. And so it could be okay, now we could switch you back. So we can't just kill you. We have to subdue you. Maybe we don't even, like I said, maybe the player's in on it. They just act normal for a little while, and then slowly, maybe it's like Bill can't be there. So his character is the one that gets taken over. And now we got to go find where this brain reservoir is. And, and then maybe that's the reveals that you're like going through all the brains and you're like, holy crap, the mayor's brain is in here, or the king or the queen, a favorite ally is like, oh my, how long have they been taken over that we didn't even know this? It's very similar to how a doppelganger might work in a way, but that could be the fun reveals when you find the brain bank and all the people that have been switched that you just now realize.
Yeah, that could be fun. I just like the idea of also using them as just almost an atmosphere of something. They find a bad guy and he's got all these intellect devours all around him that he's controlling. And that would just be a good creepy element to add in for your players and a good way of building a scene. Especially because I would describe him as kind of slimy.
Yeah, I would say slimy would work. This could be one of those good encounters where they know what they're going in against, so it's not a surprise. It's like you have to sneak past a dozen of these to get to the thing. So what magic items do you have? How can you prepare? What can you do to fortify your intelligence? Because you need to sneak through here, because if you awaken 12 intellect hours, you're not going to pass all those saves. Guarantee that at least one of you is going to fail and die. So every stealth roll, everything you can do to make sure your stealth or magical protections are up to snuff are important. That could be the tension, is the knowing that you have to face off and sneak past a dozen of these to get to the thing, rather than, oh, look, there's one, you're dead type of thing.
Yeah. It does say in here, mind blank will protect a person from their ability to sense you. And then there's one that says a protection from evil will drive the intellect devourer out. But it doesn't say that you regain your brain, though. It just says it pushes them out.
Yeah, because it says your brain is devoured. It's got an intellect devour. So your brain, again, strictly by the rules, is gone. But I do like the idea that it's not eaten. It's just somewhere else. So you could potentially get your meat puppet friend back and then find a way to get the brain back in them. Or maybe even a different brain. It doesn't have to be the same brain.
Abby Normal.
Abby something? Abby Normal? That is one of, if not my all-time favorite comedy movie.
I think I would, as a DM, run it where it doesn't eat your brain. It just possesses you. So that way you're still there. So if they do drive the thing out, that you can come back, which could, for somebody who's deep in role playing, could really change that character.
Yeah.
I had to watch for 2 levels as my body made decisions I didn't want to, which could be, fun to role play. Could also be a little traumatizing for your character. But
I mean, like you said, if you have somebody who wants to change their character, that could be a method. Like you said, maybe. So again, we're messing with the lore a little bit, but maybe like every time the brain devourer does this, it absorbs personality, talents, quirks, and so it being in your body for a couple weeks, there was some residual. You know, you can cast magic now. You couldn't before, but you can now, or you know fighting techniques or something. So you could basically change your class. You're basically the same personality, but you've picked up these different skills and abilities through that process. This could even be something you make a quest, like a character's like, hey, I don't really like this wizard. I think I want to be a fighter. Okay, but you got to give me a couple of sessions because we're going to make this part of the game. We're not just going to blah, you're a fighter. It's going to be, you have to find one of these, a specific one, let it take over your body, then drive it out, and then you can become a fighter type of a thing.
That could be interesting if you start players off at level 0 and then they get their abilities based on, you know, the group drives this thing out. Now you know magic, or you've discovered, you know, religion, or hey, I'm really good at punching things or whatever. And Foxblade says, yeah, pushes them out. You need resurrection magic to fix your character.
Yeah, so
So it
technically
does get devoured.
you would be dead, yeah. But again, my players don't know that, so I could change that, and I think I probably would, because I'm not really big on mind flayers. I don't really use those, but I could definitely have a brain bank somewhere that are just jars of collected brains they could find. I think that'd be really cool reveal for them to find that.
That could be a really fun comedy, because you could just, you know, let's say it's your character that got possessed. Well, now I can put any brain in there I want.
Right.
It's like, okay, put this one in this week. And next week, oh, you know, we need a barbarian this week. All right, Michael.
Yeah. Again, not to bring up Joss Whedon again, horrible human being, but really good at developing stories. Dollhouse. Like, I'm also getting that kind of thing. I don't know if you're familiar with that show he created. Basically, you could, it's sort of like Matrix. You could like download different personalities and skills and abilities. So you could have that where once you find the brain bank, maybe there's a way to like, okay, this week I need to know this week I need to know that. And, you know, make that an active thing that the characters do to gain knowledge or ability. It could be part of their level up mechanics, you know, like where they like, okay, I need to find the brain of a fighter that's better than me. And then that brain will teach me stuff. So though one of the things I did a long time ago, I thought was really cool is I had, the characters that is one of my level 0 situations. They found a ring that had absorbed the personality of an adventuring party. The only person that survived, they went up against a dragon, kept this ring that had all their personalities, and that person got kidnapped, and the kids of the village found this ring, and the ring had all these specters. And so over the 0 level, they found a specter that would train them. So on the way they went from their village to the town, it took like a month through the woods. They all found a favored specter who's like, I'm a wizard, and, you know, taught the wizard how to do things. I thought that was a cool mechanic.
I did something similar to that, only I used from the Dresden Files, the coins of the Blackened Denarian. So they were being taught things, but not realizing that secretly they weren't going to be good guys at the end. But the players knew that long term they weren't going to be good guys, but the characters didn't know. So, but like I just thought it was, you know, randomly pulling that out. I was like, that's kind of a creepy thing. I've never really looked at it that closely till today.
Yeah, again, playing D&D for as long as I have, I've never used one, never fought against one. And I definitely could see myself using it now. So score 1 for Cryptozoology. Yeah.
Yes. Random dice or letter generators on the internet to give us that one.
For the win. Yeah. All right. So that brings us to audience Q&A. We do have a couple people that are hanging out with us tonight. So this is basically the way this works. If you have any questions, throw them in the chat. If we don't have any, we'll wrap things up. But while we're waiting for any questions to come in, Chris, where again can people find you on the internet? Plug anything you want to plug, all of the stuff. You know how it works.
Most of the time, if I'm online, it's on either the RPG Academy's Discord page or the Redemption. I float around there and a couple other Discord pages. I do have Twitter, Burlew_Chris. I'm probably one of the most boring people because all I do is retweet other people's stuff. Just because I don't start threads, because when people start getting negative, I start getting angry, and then I just don't want to do it anymore. Otherwise, every other Mondays, YouTube doing Smugglers Blues. Every other Thursday for the DragonLance right here, and then every other Wednesday here. And they all happen to be on the same week. So if you want 3 days with me, it's the same week.
Oh, fantastic. As for myself, of course, everything I do can be found at the RPG Academy. If you go to the website, there is a link to pre-order the printed copy of the Action 12 Cinema game. You get the PDF right away, and there's about to be a new version go out with the new edited version. I want to quickly plug the Healthy Minds Alliance podcast that I'm doing as part of my AmeriCorps service. I'm very proud of this podcast. It's the first quote unquote professional podcast that I've done. It's about mental health and mental health awareness. It's like short 20-25 minute long interviews with people doing the work in local communities, as well as some professionals I've had a chance to interview. And I'm going to start doing some executives within like the AmeriCorps organization and talk about their mission statement and that kind of stuff. So it's very small, but I'd love for more and more people to check it out and help it grow. And then, I had something and it's completely gone. My brain has completely lost its place. The sample adventures. So we have a G.I. Joe sample adventure coming up. It was supposed to be Ratuyama. I don't know how to say it.
Don't ask me to say it.
Yeah, but we had to switch that one out for a reason. So we're going to have a G.I. Joe one coming up. We have a Fate Masters of Umdar, which is basically sort of like a Thundar the Barbarian or He-Man style Saturday morning cartoon setting that Devin from the old Sharkbone podcast is going to run that. I think right now it's just you and I playing, but we're looking for a third. And then we have a few others that got various states of scheduling. I'm probably going to be running the Star Trek Tricorder adventure, which is basically the original Star Trek crew. So Scotty, Spock, Uhura, that kind of thing. Unfortunately, that one's going to take a little longer. So we're going to have to do a little bit more planning because it's usually we try to do these in like 3 hours, and that adventure is just not going to do that. Yeah. But anything you want, find at the RPG Academy on Twitter, you'll find me there. So we had a couple of questions come in. Grimace Tubman, I think you said is RJ. Any interest in the new Free League Lord of the Rings role play for 5e? So basically, Free League did a Lord of the Rings game using their own system, which is based off the Year Zero engine. But they now came out with a 5e compatible adventure or 5e version of the rules for the One Ring setting. So any interest in playing through that?
I would. I mean, is it I don't know if it's a full module or is it just like a
So I think this is like a conversion. So basically it's role playing in Middle Earth, hobbits, goblins, Gandalf, Aragorn, but it uses the 5e rules rather than their own system.
I'd play. Maybe they've got a, starter set that somebody could come on and run for us.
There is a starter set for the system. I don't know if the 5e has one or not. I'll have to check. I think I have it. I'm on their publicity list, so I get like the PDF copies of like everything they send out. So RJ says there is a module, so that may have to be a sample adventure that we check in the future. Yeah. Now, again, I love Lord of the Rings. I think those movies that Peter Jackson made, not The Hobbit, those suck, but the other ones, some of the best movies ever made. I did read the Lord of the Rings, the book, one time. It was one of the longest books ever. It took me the longest to get through. And when those last 20 pages, I slowed down because I didn't want to finish it because I felt like I was saying goodbye to friends. Like because I had gone through that journey of that long read, I felt like I knew those people and I didn't want the book to end. So I slowed down again. So I absolutely love those stories. I don't know how well that's going to work in 5e because 5e is a heroic fantasy. It's Fast and Furious in D&D, and Lord of the Rings is not that type of storytelling. So I'm not sure how it would work, but in Free League, we trust. So if they put it out, I trust that they probably did a really good job. But realistically, I would probably prefer to play their system because I would bet that they've found a way to marry the system and setting together better than the 5e conversion does. But I can't blame them for trying to hit 5e because it's still the biggest market there is. But I think I have both of them, so I'll definitely take a look. And if anybody's interested in running a sample adventure, join the Discord. It's free. We do this all the time. So I would not say no to that. And so RJ threw out a new question. Have I played their system before? So I have played several Free League games that are all, from my understanding, based off the same Year Zero engine system, but each one has its own little unique twists. So I have not played the One Ring. I have the One Ring box set, but I have not played it, but I've played several of the Free League games: Blade Runner, Forbidden Lands. I think there's one more that I've played that all kind of work on the same sort of thing, but not that one specifically. Have you played any of the Free League stuff?
Maybe. I I play a lot of stuff at conventions. I go there and usually sign up for something I've never heard of on a regular basis. I just read kind of the description of what the story is supposed to be, and then I just sign up and
Mm-hmm.
cross my fingers and hope it's not a bad system. So I possibly have. I just couldn't tell you right off the top of my head. Uh, Obviously not something that I've brought home. Of course, I don't usually bring a whole lot of stuff home from conventions. To me, that's an experience I have at the convention. Unless I really wowed myself, I don't bring it home. I think Feng Shui 2 or Feng Shui, however you say it, is probably the last one I brought home from a convention.
Mm.
And that's been
Oh.
7-8 years ago now.
That was the first game you and I ever played together.
Yeah.
Kaylee ran
Yeah.
that for me, you, and Michael. Yeah, that was a good time. I think that's the first game we played together, though, right? We had met before, or
In person. I think we've done a couple of things online,
Okay.
but I think in person. So
yeah,
yeah.
that was a fun time, though. Kaylee did a good job with that. Dragonbane was the other one. So Dragonbane was the other one that it uses a version of that. No, it doesn't. It doesn't use it because it's the Swedish thing, so it's a completely different system. Never mind. So RJ asked about 40K, because there are RPGs for the Warhammer 40K, and how long until you can listen to the Dragonlance. So I'll start with that. We talked about the early. Probably July is when those episodes are going to start coming out, because it's going to help fill in kind of our summer slowdown and stuff coming out. So it'll be a consistent release. And hopefully by then we'll have enough of a backlog that once they start coming out, they'll just finish coming out until we're done. Or that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. So Warhammer 40K, ever played it? Any interest in playing it?
I've played both the tabletop miniature version, and I have played a couple times the role-playing system. I enjoy it. I'm not going to spend thousands of dollars building armies. That's not my thing. I'd rather spend, $100 on the same miniatures and just mix them up. Hey, you get these 5 this time. I get these 5, and let's see how it plays out.
Yeah.
I also don't have the patience to paint them all, mostly because my vision's not what it used to be, and wearing bifocals with the magnifying glass and little paintbrushes is just not my thing anymore. The role-playing game, I mean, we played all Space Marines, and we're fighting some sort of undead. Somebody's going to correct me. I can't remember what they're called, but it was mostly just roll dice and kill things and hope your armor saved you. Is all I remember from it. It was fun. I mean, I would play it again, but it wasn't something I'm going to jump up and down and go buy either. But I don't know all the lore, so I don't know all the nuances.
I've had some people try to tell me the lore, and I'm always like, "Are you joking? Like, is this because it seems like, and I've even kind of heard that the lore was like intentionally convoluted and over the top, but then there's just so much of it got built up that it starts to have some gravitas to it, but that it's like intentionally kind of weird, I guess. But yeah, I'd have zero interest in playing the actual Warhammer tape measure, build an army. Even if someone built an army for me, that does not interest me at all. If it's for you, no shade, but it's not my thing. And because I'm not into the lore and I don't really have any interest in learning it, like a one-shot at convention, sure, I'll jump in, I'll play a heretic or whatever the people who hunt down the heretics are. It's the only thing I really know about it. But I have no interest whatsoever. Doesn't mean that I wouldn't love it if I did. But again, I retreat to the things that I love and find comfort in. And for me, that's D&D. Though I did really like Dragonbane. I cannot get that game out of my head. I have fought and finally got into a game of it. I think at Gen Con, because like everybody's running Rittermound, which is the one that I ran. So I can't really play in that one because I already know the adventure, but there's like 4 or 5 other adventures that are being ran. And I finally got into one. I'm so excited to play that game. I'm really wanting to play that more, but so you weren't in that one, were you? No, it was Kaylee, Michael, and Caleb. So yeah. All right.
The last few years have been busy for me. So
Yeah, there's a lot going on. But hopefully these sample adventures are going to continue going. Detention, yeah, we're going to keep that rolling. The rest of the RPG Academy catalog, it's going to roll back. Mo is currently handling our show and tell episodes. He's going to run that, I think, basically for the rest of the year. I think so. He says he's going to try to run through December, 1 or 2 episodes a month. We'll see if someone else wants to take it on after that, or that might fade away, though. I'd hate that because I really like the show and tell thing. I think it's one of the best things we do. This is like one of the most fun things we do, but I think show and tell is like one of the most valuable things we actually provide to the tabletop community, is given, exposure to some of these smaller creators and stuff. Yeah. Anything else to look forward to Gen Con? I love Gen Con. Gen Con's my Christmas. Like, I look forward to it probably as much as, if not more than anything else I do every year. It's absolutely one of my favorite things. And I'm playing I'm playing the Dragon Mound. I'm playing a Cortex Plus game. I think I'm playing in a Dread game. And there's one other like really big one I was super excited to get into, but of course my mind is not. I actually got really excited because I got into a Marvel 616 game, and then I found out they oversold or double booked or something. So the thing I'd signed up for got deleted. So the one I wanted doesn't exist anymore. So I didn't get that one. I'm running Scooby-Doo Dread, which is one of my favorite things ever I've ever ran. It's a great time every time. He said, knocking on wood. And I'm also going to do that panel I do on DMing, like Introduction to DMing, which is also just a fabulous time. I just people have always come up after and said, hey, I really enjoyed this. It helped me get started, or something to play with my kids. Like, I've always got some feedback from it that just like warms my heart, and it's the reason why I keep doing it. So I'm really looking forward to those as well. You're not going this year, are you, Chris?
I can't. Between finishing up scout stuff, work being super crazy, and just other commitments, I don't know if I'm going to be able to really I won't be taking time off till probably end of August, but
right.
It's all right. Then I'll just have a bunch of time from September on that I get to go take vacations for.
Yeah, we got our faculty retreat in September. Then, of course, we have a Catacon in November. You did mention before that your scout time might be coming to an end soon. So maybe once that's done, maybe a Gen Con's in your future.
Yeah. Because right now it's once a month and once a week. So once I can step back from being Scoutmaster and, kind of transition to having another, dad that's pretty committed to do it, or mom, doesn't matter. I think that I've got a dad that's already kind of talked about it a little bit. I can step back and then start freeing up some of my time and Melissa's time to do some other stuff.
Cool.
Because she can't relax when we go. She still has to try to do everything. And I'm like, stop, just chill out, lady. But that's not her personality.
Yeah. And I appreciate that, because when she comes to a Catacon, she does a ton of work, and I appreciate that. So I hope she knows that.
Yeah, she does.
Good. All right. Well, we will sign off there. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. RJ, pleasure having you in here. Foxblade, thank you as always. We've had as many as 10 people at one time watching. So there were several people that were checking us out. Nice. Didn't feel like chatting. Totally fine. Lurkers are always welcome. We basically do the show every other week. We usually have a third, which unfortunately scheduling happened last minute. They weren't able to join us, which changes the dynamic a little bit. But we think it's a good time. We do some silly stuff. We talk about role-playing games in our lives, and hopefully somewhere something came out that you could use, some little nugget of wisdom that we said, like, hey, I could use that in my game. If that came out of it, then that was great. But we will sign off as we always do by saying, remember, if you're having fun,
you're doing it right.
Thanks, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.